Hello, everybody. Here's the real start of the show. Welcome to Stories with Sapphire Live. I am Sapphire Sandalo, and this is the live stream that I do every Wednesday at 5:30 Pacific. I read your emails and your stories, the stuff that maybe doesn't make it to a podcast episode. I get so many amazing emails, and I want to share all of them, respond to all of them. So that's what this is for. So because of that, it is a little looser, a little gooser, so it's not going to be as polished as the stuff that you might be used to, but hey, live, baby. All right, so I pulled up a couple emails. Just a reminder, I do not read through these before, so I don't fix up grammar or if things are confusing, so I might trip up, and please be patient with me. So we're going to go ahead and dive right in. While I pull these up, I want to give y'all a reminder that you too can submit your own stories and emails. And the address is right here, StoriesWithSapphire@gmail.com. Try to use a subject that is really catchy and weird. Something that'll catch my attention just because it'll disappear among all the other emails if you don't. All right, you guys ready for your first one? Let's start with a short one. Let's ease into it, okay? Here's a short one. Ooh, this one is from Cebu. My family is from Cebu. I am currently trying to learn Cebuano. I'm very, very slow at it. I've been memorizing vocab every single day, but I'm practicing. Nagapractice ko. I'm practicing. Okay. This is from Alexa. My name is Alexa, but my family calls me Exa for short. That is so Filipino. I live in Cebu in the Philippines. I remembered something back when I was a kid that I always go to the backyard behind the shed and talk to this guy. I couldn't really see his face back then because he was tall. All I could remember was he wasn't human-like, and he was all black and skinny, like a sleep paralysis demon type body. And he lives in my neighbor's big mango tree. When I told my dad about this, he said that it was probably a Kapre. A Kapre is a really tall guy who lives in big trees. It gave me the chills when my dad said it was a Kapre. Night came and I was really sleepy. So I fell asleep, but then I woke up, but I couldn't move at all. I couldn't speak or anything. I was like a statue. But then I sensed that someone or something was in my room. My arm was covering half of my face because I was laying sideways. Then I saw a tall, dark and skinny legs walking across my room. But when that thing saw me staring at him, he sprinted at me and choked me. I couldn't breathe or scream. All I could do was pray and cry. I couldn't move at all. I felt like I was going to die. But then I woke up. I was covered in sweat and out of breath. I didn't go back to sleep that night. Cool. That was from Alexa in Cebu. Kapre. Here's an interesting thing. So if you don't know what a kapre is, in Filipino folklore, there's a couple different interpretations. So the one here, it is a figure who lives in a tree. There's versions of a kapre where it is a giant who is kind of a tree, I guess. And they're thought, when you look up at the trees and you see smoke, that's supposed to be a kapre smoking a giant tobacco cigar. And what's kind of cool, so I've heard stories of people who have seen some type of kapre, but like with all folklore, there is something that you can tie to how it originated. So apparently in the Philippines, they smoke the trees. I forget why they do that. I forget what the reasoning behind it was. There's some reason for it. But when people would see the smoke coming out of the trees, it would look like there's a giant who is smoking in the tree. So, was it a Kapre? Was it not? All right. Ninja Mask. The guy sounds like my boyfriend. I don't know who you dating You're dating folkloric creatures out here? Oh, right. Thank you, Alexa. Okay, this one's called... Ooh, all right, this one's a little longer. But before I continue, I want to give a little shout out to my friend Jess. Um, Jess Kovic. She has a shop called Sugar Bunch. You can find it on Instagram. I believe it's sugarbunchcreative.com. But she's rebranding her whole store, so she's trying to get rid of a lot of her inventory. So a lot of it's on sale. I got this really cute shirt from her sale. Yeah, just wanted to give her a little shout out. Go check out her stuff. She's got shirts. She's got really cute pins, some artwork, and yeah, it's fun. Check it out. All right. You ready? This one's called The Demon in the Basement. It's a little long, so buckle up. Dear Sapphire, I've been contemplating whether or not to send you this story, as it didn't seem very interesting at first. But after listening to your This Place is Haunted episode from October, I decided that it was time. I was born and grew up in a very small town in rural north central Washington. Up until the age of 17, I had lived in the same house pretty much my entire childhood. It was an older house, maybe about 50 or so years old, by the time my family moved out, and there was always one part of it that felt off: the basement. Of course, I always thought, hey, I was a little kid. Most little kids are scared of their basements, especially in older houses. There was specifically one room in the basement that I hated going into. It was one of the guest rooms, so I didn't go in there very often. It was a little smaller than a large college dorm room, with no windows and 2 lights, one controlled by the light switch, the other controlled by a pull chain. It's also where our fuse box was located, inside of a small cabinet with a sliding door that we usually kept closed. My parents always told me that, when I got older, that would be my room. The thought terrified me because, again, dark, scary basement. But as I got older, the fear dissipated and I started using that room more often to store my craft stuff, play, and even occasionally sleep in there. But it wasn't until I was about 15 or 16 that the fear came back full force. My parents had been separated and were in the process of going through a divorce, so it was just me and my dad living in that house with our 4 cats and a lab. My dad is an optometrist, so during the summer I would be left alone in the house from 7 a.m. to about 4 p.m. No big deal for me. That just meant I had time to do whatever I wanted on my phone as long as I got my chores done. I went downstairs to go get the laundry out of the dryer to bring it upstairs and fold. I turned off the light and, as I was walking up the stairs, I saw a dark shadow dart past in my peripheral vision. It made me jump a little, but I just figured it was one of the animals going outside. But once I got upstairs, my blood froze. All 4 cats were sleeping on the cat tower, and my dog was sleeping at the top of the stairs. If they were there, then what did I see dart past? I refused to turn off the basement light unless I ran up the stairs after. This is the only time I saw whatever was living in the basement, but it wasn't the last experience I had with it. I have a friend who's always been a bit more sensitive to the paranormal, and I remember them telling me that they felt something bad in the basement. Something angry that wanted to hurt me. After that, I never went down there alone, except for once before we packed our stuff to move out. It was after the holidays, and it was my family's turn to host Christmas. Of course, the guest rooms were used, so after everyone was gone, I went downstairs to change the sheets and clean up. At this point, I was still keeping my craft stuff and a few things in that room because I didn't know where else they should go. But when I went into the room, I froze. It was trashed, like completely trashed. Stuff was flung all over the place. All of the sheets and blankets were on the ground, my craft stuff was strewn about, and the cabinet to the fuse box was open. My cousin who stayed in the room wouldn't have done something like this, and the sliding door to the fuse box cabinet took some effort to open, so there's no way it could have opened on its own without something having pushed it. Knowing my dad, he would freak if the room was left in this condition. So I cleaned everything up as fast as I could, shut the cabinet to the fuse box, and got the hell out of that basement. I had asked my dad if he'd been there any time yesterday, and he said he hadn't, so I had no idea what to think of it. Years later, my dad got remarried, and we moved into a larger house to accommodate our now 7-person family. I was working a crappy minimum wage job at a pizza place at the time, and I came to find out that one of my coworkers was actually living in my old house at the time. Half jokingly, I asked her, "Oh, have you met the demon in the basement yet?" She gave me a weird look and said, "No, what are you talking about?" I chuckled. "Didn't my dad tell you? The basement is super haunted." She told me she didn't believe in that stuff. But maybe a month or so later, she came up to me at work and said, "Hey, remember when you asked if I knew about the haunted basement?" "Yeah, why?" I asked her. "Did something happen?" "Well, okay, so you know those 2 rooms in the basement, the ones past the laundry room?" "Of course I do." "Well, we usually keep those doors closed so that our animals don't go in there, but one morning I woke up and went to go to the bathroom, and those doors were wide open. I was sure they had been closed when I went to bed, but they were just open." Her family moved out of that house not too long after. My childhood home is now inhabited by another family. I don't know them, but I occasionally wonder about that house and if they've had any encounters with the thing in the basement. Whatever it is, I'm just glad it didn't follow me. I hope you enjoyed reading. Kennedy. Ooh, demon in the basement. Thank you, Kennedy. That's creepy. All right, hang on. Let me save this really quick. The intro of that, it kind of reminds me of why I like sharing these stories. I think this is I think a lot. Sorry, I'm. My brain. A lot of people feel very vulnerable sharing these stories. Like, I have some experiences that I still have not shared on the podcast because I'm not even sure if what it was paranormal. And I think the fear is that you don't want to go walking around saying you got these ghost stories and then you realize that it was nothing, even though you wouldn't be able to prove it or not prove it, right? But that's part of why I do this podcast, is because the more people hear these stories, the more they realize that it's actually incredibly common. I get so many emails from people saying, like, "Thanks for sharing this particular story because it helped me figure something out," right? Anyways, that's not why we're here. What's for me scarier about that story is they don't know exactly what it was. Yeah, and that's the thing. Sometimes with these experiences, you never get answers. Ugh, and that's like even scarier. But I hope that whoever is living there now is fine. I hope. All right, cool. Thank you, Kennedy. Oh no, where did they go? Okay, let's do this one. This one's called Who Was Knocking? It's, okay, fairly short. All right. Hello, Sapphire. I've been meaning to email this story for a long time, but I never seem to find the right time to do so. It is currently 3 in the morning, and I am writing this story. I hope you enjoy it, and hopefully read it during one of your streams. My name is Adiva. Me and my sister used to share the same bedroom before she moved out last year. One of those nights, me and her were listening to music with our headphones in. Suddenly, I hear a loud knock on our bedroom door that was locked. It wasn't just one knock, but a series of knocks that were almost rhythmic. I instantly got up from my bed, which was a bunk bed. I called out for my sister, who slept in the bottom bunk, only to get no response. I then started to yell her name loudly. She took her headphones off and sounded a bit annoyed. I told her about the knocks, and she didn't believe me at first. I told her to lay down with her headphones out of her ears just in case the knocks happened again. And to my surprise, it did. A couple minutes later, the same rhythmic knocks began once again, except this time, it was way louder. I got up and climbed down the bunk bed stairs to turn on the lights. I saw my sister's horrified expression soon as I did. We decided that we were going to go outside to check it out, also because my sister really had to use the bathroom. We had no sharp objects in the room except for 2 makeup brushes, so we picked those up, thinking it may be an intruder outside. As soon as we left the room, however, there was nobody. So she went to the bathroom, and I did a quick check around the house. I checked under the couches, doors, whatnot. After she was out, me and her decided we were going to go back to sleep and act like nothing happened. So we came back into our bedroom and called it a night. However, as soon as we put our heads down on our pillows, we heard the same knocks again, except this time it sounded like pounds. Much, much louder. I was so scared I couldn't move a limb. So I put on my glasses and sat up on my bed, unable to move. Suddenly, I felt a very hard push on my back, causing me to fall frontward. I screamed. I told my sister what happened, teary-eyed, as I started to hyperventilate. Just then, I saw something in the corner of my eye. It was a rat. A goddamn rat running out the whole room and bumping into objects that made it sound like knocks. But what I don't understand is how it was so rhythmic, so loud. And what was that push? My initial thought was that maybe the rat climbed on the curtains and jumped on my back, but it still doesn't make sense. I am genuinely scared of this story, but nothing else happened after that, so I'm not sure. I hope you enjoy this story. I love you. Oh, sorry that I love you caught me off guard. Well, thank you. Who sent this? Adiva. Thank you, Adiva, for sending this in. Make sure I mark it as red. Cool. All right. What a twist. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's that actually, you know what, that reminds me of something that just happened in my own home. Yesterday, there was multiple times where I heard something in the kitchen just kind of go like, boom, boom. And I would go in there and look around and I don't see anything. And it like kept happening. And I eventually figured out what it was. But it's just like so funny to me because I'm sure there's people with like stories where you don't find out what it was. And so in your head, you're like, whoa, was it a ghost? There usually, most of the time, there is an explanation. And you know, maybe the rat was making all that noise, but if there was other stuff going on, hey, it could be a rat and also a spooky ghost. You know what I mean? Kingpin55, do you have a Discord? I do have a Discord, but it is only for members of my Patreon. If you go to patreon.com/StoriesWithSapphire, if you join any of the tiers, you have access to the Discord. And the lowest tier is $2. With that, you get access to the Discord and all of the posts. I believe so. And then the next highest tier is $7 a month. And with that, you get weekly watch parties with me. So every Thursday, we watch something together. We're going to watch something tomorrow. You get behind-the-scenes vlogs weekly from me every week. There was other stuff that I am totally forgetting. Oh, you get access to podcast episodes earlier. And there was other stuff that I'm definitely forgetting. But yeah, go check it out. Patreon.com/StoriesWithSapphire if you want to be a member of my Discord. All right. That's enough of that. Ghost Rat. Nana 1256. This is reminding you of the story you did about a lady that knocked 7 times on your door and each knocked for a part of your body or something. Oh, that was the White Death. Yeah, that story was cool. You know what? Of all the ghost guides, that one's my favorite just because it's like spooky. That's the same as possession though. A demon was controlling the rat. Reminds me of the 8-foot woman solution and how she will knock on your door. All right, cool. What time is it? 5:58. Ooh, no. Y'all, we're running out of time here. Let me see if I can find another short one that we can end on. Oh, this one seems cool. All right, this one. All right, y'all, this is our last story for tonight. This one's called, Is It a Gift or a Curse? Hey, Sapphire, I am such a big fan of your work, and I would really like for you to tell my story. Growing up, I wasn't really that interested in my Polynesian roots. I didn't understand the language, culture, or traditions, but I especially didn't understand our taboos. I'd always ask my grandparents, why can't we whistle at night? Or to my Samoan grandparents, what's a telesa? Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. But my questions were always shut down with a simple, don't talk about it. I was extremely confused about why we couldn't do specific things at a specific time. I mean, hell, I was a kid. Kids are supposed to be curious. When I went to Samoa for my grandfather's funeral in 2019, that's when strange things began happening to me. I'd have dreams or flashes of women in red or horrible nightmares of my family dying. I'd tell my family and friends about it, and they'd make a concerned look at me before going silent and not replying. Some days I'd wake up to see the face of a woman with pure black eyes and long hair just staring at me. Ever since I began reconnecting to my faith, culture, and history, those nightmares have stopped. I have no idea if my reconnecting has somehow ended the phenomena or is just pacifying it, but I don't want to take any chances. If you're wondering, I'm half Tongan and Samoan, and that's where all the superstitions come from. Whoa, thank you for sharing that. I think I've heard of a telesa before. I do not remember how to pronounce it. I think there is a connection. I think that, for Samoans and Tongans, their connection to ancestry is very similar to how it is in the Philippines. Lots of similarities between Filipino culture and Polynesian cultures. And I think that now that you are reconnecting with your ancestors are protecting you even more, I think. I don't know. Maybe. That's what I'm hoping. But yeah, I wish you well on your journey. All right, everybody, that is all the time that we have for today. I do this every single week, every Wednesday, 5:30 p.m. here on Twitch. If you miss the live stream, don't worry, because I repost the videos the very next day at 10 o'clock Pacific on my YouTube channel. Yeah, and if you want to send me an email, it's right here, storieswithsapphire@gmail.com. What else? Oh, yeah, don't forget to check out my friend Jess Kovic's website, sugarbunchcreative.com. Get yourself some cute merch. And all right, I will see y'all next week. And a couple of you subscribed today. Thank you. Where was your name? Kingpin55. Thank you for subscribing. I really appreciate it. See ya.